Welcome to the Forget About Money podcast. As Christmas is only a few weeks away at this point,
Yep.
it got me thinking about shopping habits and the dangers of, I say dangers, I don't mean like walking out in front of a car, but dangers of like the financial dangers of overspending. And I was talking to Robert earlier, Carla, and he said that he wanted me to have this conversation with you in particular. Do you feel that you overspend for Christmas?
Going straight to the source, talk to Robert about my spendy ways. No, I don't feel that I spend too much. I think we've pretty much got that dialed in. Robert is definitely more dialed in with that than I am. He has very few wants in life. He's a very easy to please dude. Yeah, I'm definitely more prone to wanting the sillier things in life. Like I buy way too much yarn, that's for sure, for knitting. And I frequent our local thrift stores probably more than I should and buy more silly shirts and sweatshirts than I probably should. But overall, I would say my spending is pretty well in check. I don't feel like I have a lot of weaknesses when it comes to spending. But I'm really curious to hear your answer to this question. Do you feel like you spend more than you should or more than you're comfortable with?
No, I definitely don't spend more than I'm comfortable with. And I probably don't spend as much as people think I should spend on holidays and gifts, says my
Are you a Scrooge? Is that what you're saying?
Daughter. I'm not a Scrooge. And they know. I think if I adorned them with gifts so much every single year and you couldn't see the Christmas tree for all the packages that are around it, and then I just stopped, I think that might be an issue. But I try to ask them what they want. Tell them Santa's got a budget.
That's great. That sounds like a pretty healthy approach. Yeah, we definitely overdo the Christmas gifts specifically, but my family especially has always been very, very generous with Christmas gifts. And so we feel like we kind of want to reciprocate that with them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that we probably spend more than we should in the family category. But I mean, I say that more than we should. I think we just try to show them how much we care about them and how much we appreciate how generous they are with us. So I don't think it's a toxic thing. And mostly my family, I feel like they are very, very good gift givers. And so hopefully we're good gift givers with them too. I don't know. You'd have to ask them that question. But we certainly try to give stuff that's thoughtful and that we think they'll actually use. So yeah, Christmas is a place where we do overspend a little bit probably. But I feel like it's because my family is very generous and we try to keep up with that. So yeah, Christmas is a lot. There's just so much consumerism all around you. And I will say, even though we probably spend a lot, we really, really try to be thoughtful about it and not just get stuff that's going to end up in a landfill. So
I'm just imagining you, because you just mentioned that you have a lot of yarn. Are you the auntie who always shows up with socks that are different sizes that you made, or an attempt at an Afghan that's a triangle instead of a rectangle?
Thank you.
Have you incorporated your love for yarn? Wait, I'm making assumptions.
You sure
I don't even know what you do with this yarn. Do you use it, or you just like to look at yarn? Do you put it into something functional?
I do make stuff out of it. I am an avid knitter, and I do make stuff for people, but I strongly resent the implication that my things are not wonderful and lovely, because they totally are. No, I make stuff for people for sure, but I try not to make things for people who I don't think will really appreciate it. And I try to make limited things that I think will really be treasured. So yeah, I am not the person who's just like, you get weird socks and you get weird socks. I try to make very nice things that will hopefully be something they have for a long time to come. That's the goal anyway.
Do you prioritize gifts of yarn over other gifts because you enjoy it?
For me, do I ask for that for myself?
No, do you give it to people?
Oh.
Because I'm assuming you're good at it. You're good at a lot of things.
Right. I'm amazing at everything I've ever touched.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, I wouldn't say I prioritize it over anything else. I just try to incorporate it into the gift giving process. If I can come up with something that I think someone will really like, then I make that. Otherwise, I buy something like a good little American consumer.
Okay, Carla, I'm going to ask you for some pictures of some things that you've made so that we can put them on the YouTube video so that people can have an idea of your skill craft.
My knitting skills. That is a thing I can do.
Nice. Well, I'm personally am looking forward to it. I did not know this about you until today.
You may get a hat in the mail soon. Keep an eye.
Is this a hat? Is it a Christmas stocking? It's multi-purpose.
Oh, you're hurting my little knitter heart. I'm really sad.
Look, it's going to be great. It's like amazing stuff. And I'm sitting here fashion stuff. I don't even know.
So talk to me about ways that you think you can keep your spending in check, whether that's during the holidays or any other time of year. How do you like cage the consumer animal that lives inside of you? Or do you have a consumer animal that lives inside of you? Are you one of those people who just doesn't have one?
No, I think we all have one to some degree. I think it's very natural for every single human being to want something that they don't have right now. And I think that's the, at the very core. Now, how powerful that goes and how much you allow that to impact your spending. Now that's kind of like where this conversation is going to head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do like to buy things, generally though not for myself. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. It's fine. I do have a child, so I think like, okay, what can I buy that would be of value to him or her? And I just get it. If I think it's going to be value added, usually not just stuff, but if he does, like for example, my son likes the little, is it pop head, the little plastic bobblehead things.
Oh, Funko Pops. I don't know why that's in my brain, but somewhere that's entered my lexicon.
Yeah, that shelf above the shelf. It's got your whole collection there. They're all of just financial independence personalities.
Mm-hmm. Of course. The Mount Rushmore of FI. Yeah.
It's $1 million idea. I'm sure it would sell great. Right. Very entertaining. So I'll buy him some things like that just because he wants them, and that's okay. But no, I don't have like this ravenous consumer energy in me. If anything, it's probably the opposite, but it's really hard to do it, but it's really hard to control that. And I understand that, especially if you've never attempted to do it before. Let's say you're 25 years old and you just got your first job. You maybe just got out of debt. And you're like, oh, I've got all this money. I've got a couple $1,000s in my checking account, burning a hole. And then the holidays show up and then we're inundated, with all of the marketing techniques and all the psychological tricks that none of us are entirely immune to.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the very first step is just to be aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had this conversation with folks, and I've heard a lot of people say, oh, marketing just doesn't work on me. I'm immune to that. And I always think, man, I'm not immune to it. Like, I think you're maybe not being fully honest with yourself, because they would not, like big corporations would not pour millions or billions of dollars into advertising if that stuff didn't work, if everyone was just like, oh no, that doesn't work on me. So yeah, I think we for sure need to take that first step of admitting it. And then that can open up some other doors into how to control it, because I think it works on just about everybody. I know it works on me. So how do you limit your access to advertising so that those things don't worm their way into your brain and make you want to buy things you don't need or really even want?
Well, I think number one is just being aware of the forces out there that are trying to separate you from your money. Yeah. It happens. It's in every walk of life. I've had conversations with you, and I don't know what is seeing or listening, but after recording one episode with you, I walked away, and the very first feed of my YouTube was what we were talking about. Having a side conversation. It wasn't even what we were talking about primarily in the episode. And then I forwarded you that video, remember?
Yeah.
So that was really, really odd, but that's how deep it is to think that it doesn't affect you. It affected me as much that I was like, oh, this is interesting, because it knew I would find that interesting.
Yeah.
And then I shared that with someone. So I'm not immune, but I recognized it. And I think the first step was recognizing it. If you go into, as far as a way to prevent excessive spending, I think there are some very hard rules that you should stick to until you're at a particular financial stage of your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a positive net worth, do not go deeper in debt to provide gifts for anyone.
Yeah.
Period. That's hard. And if anybody cares about you and they think, really what they're saying is, I would rather you go into debt so that I can have this. If somebody really cares about you, they would never say that.
Yeah, that's not a true friend. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I think the very next level up of how to think about this that might provide some value is, well, I just said the word value. Exactly that. Really look through all of your purchases through the value filter.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's so important.
That alone cleans up a lot of this.
One approach that I like to take is when I am thinking about purchasing an item, I look at it and I picture it sitting in my closet or sitting on a bookshelf or just somewhere in my house for years and years to come. Because that's what's going to happen, right? Every single thing that comes into your life, you now have responsibility for that thing. if you move, you have to take it with you. You have to physically carry it. If you like reorganize, you have to deal with this thing. One day when maybe it's like worn out, you're going to have to figure out how to get rid of it. Am I going to donate this? Am I going to sell it? Am I going to just throw it in the trash? Like everything that comes into your life, you have to think about the future of this item. It's not going to be like fun and shiny forever and ever. It's eventually going to lose its appeal for you. So just like have that moment in your head where you sort of picture the life story of this object and fast forward a little bit and think about what it's really going to look like. So yeah, I try not to get caught up in the excitement of the moment. Like, oh, this is so cute or fun, or wouldn't this be helpful to my life? I feel like that, especially with kitchen gadgets, like these really specific kitchen gadgets that do one thing that you're thinking, oh, well, we have fun, like making these little mini waffles that have reindeer faces on them or whatever, some silly thing that people buy. And yeah, like that's just going to sit in your kitchen cabinet, taking up space for like a decade to come. And then one day you're going to look at it and be like, this was fun. We used this a few times, and then you're going to throw it away. So yeah, just fast forward into the future of this object's life because you might end up not buying that thing.
When I walk into a Target or any kind of department store, I see immediately to the left, to the right. I'm thinking about Target specifically now.
Yeah.
A bunch of these little plastic things, toys that are 99 cents or I don't know, inflation, maybe it's $1.29 now. I don't know. But this cheap nothingness, it's meant for kids to, when kids walk in, they just grab and say, Mommy, I want this, or Daddy, I want this. And they end up at the register. But I can't think of a more clear example of like the stuff that will be trash, not 5 years from now, not like 5 days from now. They get it home and they throw it in their toy bin. And that's just something that gets either crushed or damaged or just discarded after the next time their parent cleans the room when they're not there.
Yeah, but we as adults can fall victim to that exact same thing. And this especially makes me think of fast fashion, where you go into one of these stores like Forever 21, or now online, there's this company called Shein and Temu. There were all these things about Temu recently. They've been like coming into the forefront. And yeah, I just feel like people want this quick little hit of dopamine, like, oh, I have this fun new thing or this cute new shirt. And you wear it once and then it just like disintegrates more or less, right? It never looks as good. So yeah, I really, really would strongly advise people to stay away from all of those things that are just junky. You know, they're certainly not going to last you at all. Yeah, I just think those things are horrible, horrible. We actually just watched a documentary on Netflix called Buy Now, which is about kind of this whole mentality of people just buying things too fast. And then, you know, where does the waste go, right? There really is no away. You can't throw things away. It just goes somewhere else on the planet. So yeah, it's just accumulating. And I think we've got to convince people to stop just getting this quick dopamine hit of buying things that go in the trash can within a few months or a year. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
We are talking a little bit about holiday spending, and we're also talking about spending in general. The term excessive spending, it sounds negative. I define excessive spending as any spending above your needs. But then there's like levels above that. There's spending more than you need to isn't as bad as spending money you don't have for reasons that you can't justify. So I just want to say that what we're talking about right now is damaging aspect or the harmful excessive spending. We all have that little gray area of we buy things that we want and don't need. That's not what we're talking about here. Over time, you can put into habits that reduces the gap between what you need and that excessive harmful spending, which is something is natural for anybody who constantly thinks about money and trading money for value. And it can be really, really damaging to those people who don't have it and just feel the need to do it, whether it be for the dopamine hit, whether it's for social acceptance, whether it's for guilt, whether it's for even feeling good temporarily. I mean, you talked about the dopamine hit, but we also talked about, you mentioned you're generous in gift giving. I feel that I guess despite my earlier comments, throughout the year, I'm very generous in giving because it makes me feel good. So maybe that's my dopamine hit, but the end result is the same. You're still spending money to make you feel good. So that's the end result, really. But we each have to manage that as we go. What are you balancing? You're balancing things that you hold in your hand or the social interaction value with the long-term delayed gratification of let's hold on to some of that money, invest it for our future so that maybe I can do that even more, whether that's more gifting, whether that's altruism through donations, charitable giving, or other.
Yeah, I think taking that zoomed out approach where you get out of that moment that you're in with this little object that you want and think about your life as this long linear line and what's going to maximize your lifelong happiness. Is it having more flexibility with your time and more peace of mind? You know, if your appliances break and you have to get a new one, you don't want to be stressed about that, right? So you're thinking ahead about, okay, these things are going to happen in life. I need to be prepared for them. So I'm going to prioritize my mental well-being and not having to worry about these big stressors that everyone faces in life, as opposed to just being in the moment and wanting this little object. Yeah, I think that zoomed out approach is really, really powerful.
Do you do anything in particular to shape the environment that you're in so that you don't get inundated with so much marketing?
Yeah, I try really, really hard to stay off of most social media. I don't get on Instagram. I don't get on TikTok. I very occasionally get on Facebook. And then my social media, like poison that I do probably way too much of, is Reddit. But I do feel like Reddit is way less intrusive with the advertising than a lot of social media platforms. And mostly what you're reading is just text. Like you are actually reading and you're hearing about like different people's life stories or, you know, people talking about whatever topic it is that you're interested in. So I try to stay off of the social media that I know is going to bombard me with the latest flashbang. Look at this thing that you like. And it's like you were talking about before, it's going to be targeted specifically to me and my needs, right? Because the algorithms are so good now at looking at my browsing history and figuring out what's going to make Carla tick and what's going to like get her juices flowing that'll make her click the buy button. So I'm not seeing the stuff that I think is like totally silly, like, you know, fancy bags and shoes. They know I'm not into that stuff, but they do know that they're more likely to get me if they show me like the latest backpacking gear or, you know, certain brands of clothing that I do really like Patagonia. They know what will get to me specifically. And I think being aware of that is really helpful. So I try to stay away from the platforms that'll be like, hey, look at this, the latest backpack that's super cute. And they know I'll be like, that is really cute. I'm into that. I like that. So yeah, I try to just avoid it altogether.
Carla, I think that's a very smart thing that you did right there, because in the description, we have your wish list. See, audience members, see what we just did there? Saw that subliminal. Got it.
Send me hiking shoes and like fun backpacks. I'm into it. I like it.
Yeah,
guys.
now we just need to wrap this episode up so they can start clicking on the links and getting you stuff.
And lots of yarn, obviously. Yeah. What about you? Are there any strategies that you've taken to try to minimize your exposure to these things?
Yes. And I guess I did it inadvertently without knowing it. I was cleaning up my inbox, my email inbox. And now I know, at least Gmail, they divide things into promotional tabs and things that you subscribe to. And so what I've done is I've really routinely, probably within, every few months, I'll go into that and just unsubscribe, because I did not subscribe to all the things they say I subscribe to. And my inbox just gets filled up with crazy stuff. But there are times I'll go get shoes for my son at the Van store, sign up, get whatever. Sure, I sign up, get the 30% off. But that also means I get things in my inbox. So when I open up in my inbox right now, I see Vans, I see Vivo Airbus, which is a Mexican airline because I've flown them, Southwest, Alaska Airlines. Anything that you've ever bought something through, it seems like they fill up your inbox. And if you've ever, I say forever, but like sometimes I think even if you like somebody's profile, somehow that links up and you start getting stuff about that kind of stuff. They're really good at finding your inbox, even without your permission.
Totally.
So I think the act of just going in, cleaning up your inbox periodically reduces that. Another thing that I like to think about, even though I haven't done it so cleanly, is right after Christmas, while you're still thinking about Christmas, think about next Christmas. Of course, people's likes and desires change over the course of a year. But if you can think of it in a 12-month span versus Black Friday to Christmas Eve span, then you might be able to find better deals. you might be able to think more deeply about the value aspect of gifting. And you reduce that stress that you, not only the holiday stress, but the likelihood of overspending during such a compressed holiday shopping season over the course of a year. So put something in your Google Calendar, once a month, this person, next month, this person, next month, this person. And during that time, do your shopping as you go. That way you can probably get I think if you do that, you'll get better gifts, more meaningful gifts, and you have the time to really think about the trade-off of whatever value. And I know there's apps out there that, I think Honey was one maybe a while back. I can't remember, but I know there are apps out there that if you put in what you're looking for, they'll tell you like the trajectory of the pricing throughout a year.
That's helpful.
And then you'll get notifications. This is the cheapest this has been in 9 weeks or 9 months or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that could help you reduce if you've already decided what you're going to get somebody.
Yeah.
But that takes work.
Yeah, it does take work, but that's a good tip. And yeah, I guess that does just make me think of like all these Black Friday sales that we have. I do think so many people fall into the trap of just buying something because it's on sale that they don't actually need, or that the person they're buying it for as a gift doesn't actually need or maybe even want. So yeah, I do like that approach, but I do think it's good to remind folks to be careful not to get sucked into the sale trap, because it is a trap. As Admiral Akbar would say, it's a trap.
Do you think marketing takes advantage of our increasingly growing entitlement society or entitled society?
Yeah. I mean, standards just keep going up and up and up. I mean, when I was, I guess, like roughly high school, college, cell phones were not ubiquitous yet. And now it's just like, well, of course, everyone has a cell phone. Like, even most people that you see, like, you and I were talking about, you've got a homeless problem and where you live. And we do here in Longmont too. I think everywhere pretty much in the United States has an issue like that. But I think most of those people still have cell phones. Like they're just everywhere. And
fentanyl. So whatever that marketing has worked.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Everyone should read Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. P.S. It's really, really good on the fentanyl subject. Yeah, I do think we all just have to keep our standards in check and remember, like, all we really need is a warm place to sleep at night and, food in our tummy and clean water. Like, these are the basics, and everything else above that is a luxury. And we should just keep that in mind more than we do, I think.
You touched on something that I was just thinking about. That's how to frame your wants and needs. And it might sound barbaric, and I'm not even sure I've given it ample thought. If I was in the woods, what would be my needs and wants? If I didn't have shelter, if I didn't have easily accessible food, and then you just say you're in the middle of a forest, and then you get a bigger bubble, and now you have a city, and how your needs and wants change with all of the different dynamics and forces that are acting upon you. And if we could bring ourselves back down to the simplicity aspect of, like, we're humans on a planet, we're animals existing on a planet. What are our needs? Okay, let's start there. Let's make sure those are squared away. Because maybe there's times that people give money when they shouldn't be giving money for their own. Maybe they don't have enough for themselves, or a family member's asking them for money that they don't have, which I've seen many times. People who I know don't have that much money, or just starting out on their financial independence journey, or their life journey. Their parents asking for money and they give it, or other. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. These are the ways to think about. These are the things to think about. But as far as when I say an entitled society, it seems like this loop. Unfortunately, I think parents are playing a role into it. Marketing's playing a role into it. Politicians are playing a role into it. And this is not about politics. This is just about the psychology of it. The whole deserve versus earned aspect. You deserve a new car. You deserve to be happy. You deserve this. You deserve that. But I don't think and of course, like, I deserve it. Sure, why not? I deserve it. But then what that does is it disempowers the person for actually having control over their life. And I think that gets extended to how we treat money as well. You don't deserve a new car. But they'll tell you that on a radio commercial, so that you go in and spend $109,000 on an SUV that you have no business buying.
Oh my gosh, $109,000
because you deserve it.
Car just kills me. Yeah. I don't like that marketing approach either. And this is reminding me that one point I wanted to make is that I do find it really helpful to just do sort of resets of your appreciation level for all the luxuries that we live with in modern life all the time. And the way that I have done that is by backpacking, or just like travel in general that's at a much lower standard of living than your normal day of life. So backpacking, you're talking about being out in the woods. Like I have done that. I have lived outside for months at a time doing long distance backpacking. And that really, really resets your brain into what do I actually need to be happy and comfortable and feel safe? And it's very, very little. It's literally what you can carry on your back, right? You need something warm. You need something soft to sleep on. You need something to keep the rain off. You need clean water and you need food in your stomach. That's it. That's where the list stops. And, people bring, quote, luxury items on backpacking trips like Kindles or like, I don't know, extra warm stuff or something, if that's what your fear is being cold. But whatever it is, people bring these extra luxury items. But really, the list of things you actually need is quite short. And then when you get back to civilization, it's like, whoa, what do you mean? I get to sleep on this giant puffy cloud of a mattress? This is insane. Or I get to stand in like hot water that makes me feel clean and amazing. This is incredible. Like it really is such a powerful reset. And I would strongly recommend it to anybody because it's fun to be out there and like immerse yourself in nature, cut yourself off from technology for a while. And then you get this added bonus of when you come back, it's just like you're living in the land of abundance and you see everything for just how amazing it is. And there's moving pictures on screens that are fun and entertaining to watch. And yeah, it just really recalibrates your brain a little bit. So I would strongly encourage people to do that. I think it's great.
Yeah, that's the power of environment, right? Like really, we get really used to and everything gets recalibrated in our environment. So I think a big message of this episode, which is not a unique message, but it's be aware of the stimuli that you're allowing to have an effect on you. And you are allowing it to have an effect on you because you have the choice and the ability to separate yourself from most of that, but be conscious of it all.
Yeah.
And take some actions if you think it's a problem for you or could lead to a problem.
Yeah, I think being mindful about it and just paying attention to it and creating the environment around you, surrounding yourself with other people who care about the same kinds of things that you do. And like in our little community in Longmont, it's a very like reverse effect. Instead of, you buy like some fancy designer clothes in a lot of communities, you go wear that to some event and people are like, that's pretty snazzy. Like kind of jealous of that. That looks like it cost a lot. People are very impressed by these displays of wealth. Whereas here in our financial independence community in Longmont, if you showed up at a party wearing some like designer duds or something, everyone's going to look at you and be like, that's an interesting choice. Like, why does this really make you happy? Are you really excited about this? Like, talk me through this because this is not what's the norm around here. So yeah,
we actually have a conversation with somebody about a shirt that they wore to an event.
I have not done that, but I expect that if someone showed up in some like, I don't know, what's like a Prada t-shirt, or I don't even know if Prada makes t-shirts. I don't know. Fill in the blank with whatever like designer thing, or maybe like a really fancy bag or something. I feel like people would just look at it and be like, that's an interesting life choice, but no one is going to be jealous. And it's just a very different dynamic here than I think in a lot of places in society. And I love it. I love it so much. It's so much more relaxed. So I would encourage others to surround yourself with those kinds of people who are going to be questioning your big spends, not in a judgmental way, but just in a like, talk me through this. Is this really making you happy kind of way?
But is that not, Carla, is that not judgmental? I mean, Prada shaming is a real thing. Okay?
I mean, Prada shaming is a real thing. I would say it's not so much judgmental. It certainly could be, but I would say it's more about just like, let's think this through. How much did that cost? What could you have done with that money instead? How much joy is this really adding to your life? These are they're
like, we're trying to watch the movie. Could you just eat your popcorn while we have this conversation here? Could you move back a few rows?
I mean, I wouldn't do this to like a random person in our community. I would just do it with someone who's like specifically in the FI community. Okay. It was like working.
I know next time I come hang out with you.
You think I'm just accosting people in like the movie theater, being like, where did you get that shirt? How much did you pay for that? I mean,
did you get that American Eagle from that thrift store down the street? You better have.
Yep. Yep. That would be a life choice. Okay. So we were going to talk about some fun, silly stuff today. This is the part where we forget about money. So I am really curious to hear your answer to this. We were going to talk about the weirdest animal that you would have as a pet. So tell me your answer to this, David.
Are we talking about legal? Are there qualifiers for this? Like, does it have to be illegal in the United States or in your state?
I mean, choose your own adventure. If you want to risk going to jail over this creature, I will support that life choice. I'm going to have questions about it, though.
So are we talking about weird as in humans don't usually have it, or is it just a weird habitat kind of animal, weird looking animal?
I think it's open to interpretation, however you think about it.
Can we create this animal out of thin air?
I'm going to say yes, because I can't wait to hear where that's going.
Well, I'm not going to do that, but that would be fun to do. When I was in college, a friend of mine introduced me to something called a sugar glider. Have you ever heard of a sugar glider?
Get out of here. This was my answer. You totally stole my answer. I'm so serious.
Carla, show me proof.
I'm so serious.
You're not kidding. What?
I'm really serious. I love sugar gliders.
Next thing you know, we're both going to be wearing Prada to the party. We can't just be the same, Carla.
Okay. I mean, I've got a backup answer now, but go ahead. Go ahead with your sugar glider and steal my thunder.
Well, you can't have a squirrel because I think the state of New York will come in and get it from you and do bad things. Have you heard that story?
No.
Yeah, apparently. I'm going to pause right now and look it up. It's not a good story. Squirrel, New York, pet, euthanized. Yeah, so there was a squirrel. This is in the state of New York. And this article is from the New York Times from November 4th. It's just whatever popped up in the Google search. Peanut, or Panut, P'-nut, the pet squirrel with a popular Instagram page was seized by state government officials on Wednesday in Pine City, New York, and later euthanized to test for rabies.
Oh.
The raccoon, taken from the same house, was euthanized as well, the state authorities said on Friday. People were really, really upset about this. I don't know the man. I don't know the pet. I don't know really anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just know there was a big uproar. People were mad, like, it's just a squirrel. Why can't a man have a squirrel as a pet? So, was squirrel your next answer? Was that your second? Was that your backup?
It sure wasn't. I do. I always think it's funny when people get like all up in arms about one animal dying, when like, how many dead squirrels do you see on the road as roadkill, like every day? Nobody gets.
I know, and right before this episode, you killed an insect off of your webcam.
I did do that, and I did feel a little sad about it, and I apologized to him as I ended his life.
You did apologize to him. I'm sorry, little buddy.
Yeah. I mean, I try to take as few lives to support my own life as possible. We actually quit eating meat a few years ago, and that's been good. So I try not to end animals' lives, but also I fully acknowledge that it is happening just like it is with humans all the time. And yeah, I don't think we should get all up in arms about one particular animal. Like the rabies is bad. The squirrel potentially had rabies, maybe. I don't know. I don't know the story, so I'm not going to weigh in on this.
Back to the sugar glider.
Back to the sugar gliders. They are super adorable. They have these really cute little hands. They are just the best things ever. And I would love to have a sugar glider as a pet. Okay, but since I can't steal your answer, I mean, if you're saying that we can just make these creatures up out of whole cloth, I'm obviously going to have a pet unicorn. Like, that would be pretty sweet. They have magical powers. Who knows what those magical powers could do for me? That could be pretty fun. I remember there was some book that I read when I was a kid about the unicorn who could like dip its horn into water and make the water like perfect and drinkable. That'd be pretty awesome. I would like to have that skill in my back pocket. Be a great backpacking. I wouldn't have to carry a water filter anymore. I could just bring my unicorn and it would daintily dip its little horn into the water. So yeah, that sounds pretty great. I would love to have a mythical unicorn. Also, I'd totally be super rich because other people would pay me to come see my unicorn.
Few ideas just jumped in my head. I'm thinking of a cartoon series maybe with a unicorn with a sidekick of the sugar glider, but it's actually not. It's reversed. The sugar glider, which is probably like no bigger than the size of your hand, is actually like the leader with like the attitude and everything. And then the unicorn runs around purifying water. That's what you said, right?
I mean,
cleaning water.
It's a pretty good life skill to have. I wish I could do that. This sounds like an amazing.
The whale doesn't want that. The whale would not want that. Sharks wouldn't want it. So you can't keep the unicorns away from the ocean. Okay,
but it's not just making it drinkable. It could also use its magical powers to just make it clean, and then we could get all the plastic out of the ocean, and that would be better. So, I mean, it's a unicorn. The limits to its powers are endless.
What's the sugar glider was a unicorn? I think that'd be kind of cool. Who also had the same powers, but you couldn't ride it because it's too small.
Yeah, I mean, look at all these benefits I'm getting from my unicorn. It's gonna be pretty great.
A giant unicorn sugar glider that you can ride.
I mean, this also sounds great. Yeah, we could just give the sugar glider the magical powers, and then you could just keep it in your pocket at all times. There would be no restrictions on like bringing it into wherever you want it to go. We bring it on an airplane. Be perfect.
I'm going to Amazon. right now. I'm going to find a sugar glider unicorn.
Magical sugar gliders. I'm pretty sure they're sold out if they're selling those because that sounds pretty great.
That was my transition, Carla. You got to jump in. I threw a softball.
Sorry.
Didn't nail it. You didn't nail it.
Okay. Well, if you're going to go to Amazon, then...
We're keeping that in, by the way.
Okay, I'm just going to pretend like we're not and do it as though you're going to edit this. Okay, so if you're just going to Amazon, then I want to know what the last thing is you bought on Amazon, because with this like whole mythical thing that we're talking about here, we're going to pretend that you have just won a lifetime supply of the last thing you bought on the internet. So 1, what is it? And 2, are you excited about this new lifetime supply that you've just won?
I feel like we should preface all of this entire conversation that there's no affiliate links in any of these videos, at least that I'm aware of, and I put them all in there. Maybe at one day. I'm not trying to make any money off affiliate links, people going to Amazon or books or anything that you ever find in these descriptions. Maybe one day, but not right now. So it's not a trick to get you to go buy something. What I purchased most recently, should be arriving today by 10 p.m., is Life Skills Every 11-Year-Old Should Know, an essential book for tween boys and girls to unlock their secret superpowers and be successful, healthy, and happy.
I mean, that sounds like a great purchase. I like that.
And I also got Quentin a book.
Yeah, I love that for both of you. Whoever the book is for, it sounds really helpful and fun. That's great. So you've just won a lifetime supply of this book. How jazzed are you about this?
It would probably be more useful than many of the other purchases I've bought, like these headphones, which is the one before it. If I had a lifetime supply of these, I'm sure they'll be outdated in some way.
That's true.
They're not going to be a chip in my jaw or something later in 10 years that everybody gets. Never needs upgrading, whatever.
I mean, I suppose you could use the book as like kindling, or maybe you could like recycle the paper and turn it into journals or something else. I don't know.
I could. I expect this is a book that prompts you how to think about things. And at any age, I think that any prompts are good. So I was thinking, yes, this might have been written for an 11-year-old, but I could probably find value in it. And if this is a journal style book and prompted me to think about certain things in my life as I go through life, it's probably not invaluable. Or wait, probably not valuable. Invaluable is a good thing.
There we go. Yep. That's correct. Good job.
Thanks. I appreciate you, since you're wearing a books t-shirt that you educated me and corrected me on.
T-shirt today. I'm trying to encourage everybody to read. Reading is good stuff. Okay, that is a pretty solid answer.
You're like, it's a solid answer, but check this one out. Go, Carla.
So the last thing I bought online was quite big and pricey. We just had to replace our washing machine. So we just bought a new washing machine from Costco. And it's going to be here day after tomorrow. Can't get here soon enough because we got some laundry piling up. So yeah, I would be pretty jazzed about having a lifetime supply of washing machines. Hopefully, that's not that many washing machines, because hopefully they'll last a good long while. But still, like next time this one dies, I would love to have another one for free. Yeah, I think this could be a pretty big win in life. I get free washing machines from now to the grave. Not too shabby.
Oh, I thought this question was like if you got them all at once and you got a lifetime supply.
I mean, I suppose you could interpret it that way. And in that case, I am not excited. What am I going to do? Like have a backyard full of washing machines? That sounds dreadful.
Well, you just came back from Mississippi, Louisiana. It's not too far from exactly what's in the backyards of middle Georgia, where I just came from after Thanksgiving.
No comment. Yeah, that's not too far off the mark. But man, that is not how I would like to roll. So I'm going to maybe spread those washing machines out over the course of my life. Try not to keep them all in my house at one time. That sounds terrible.
Audience member, this will be a reason for me to put an affiliate link below. If someone actually purchased this item using my affiliate link, make millions, I guess, just off of one purchase.
Just off.
The most expensive thing, according to this article, amzscout.net blog article, is a piece of artwork called The Way by Gafur Tameryanov. Okay, I might need your help again, Carla.
Okay, hold on.
Listed for $32 million.
Okay.
Remarkably, this person, Tameryanov, is blind, and he paints his masterpieces mostly through the tactile sensation. Additionally, he crafts his own frames by hand, adding a further layer of individuality and intrigue to his creations.
Very interesting. So my Amazon shows that it is currently unavailable, out of stock. But I do see this person. My guess at the pronunciation is Gafur Tamaryanov. That's my guess. I really apologize to you, Mr. Tamaryanov, if I'm butchering your name.
Say it correctly again to make me feel even less smart.
Gafur Tamaryanov. That's the best I got.
Yep,
but now, okay. So Amazon is just showing me like really expensive things now. You can buy the 1930 New York Yankees team signed baseball, including Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, for $80,000 on Amazon.
Yes, please.
Art collections for $4 million. Okay, now my Amazon suggestions are just going to be crazy, crazy expensive.
So you did the opposite of what we advised in this episode.
I sure did. This is also quite random. It also is suggesting that I buy a Tough Care Century Max bariatric bed, long-term care bed with foam mattress and half rail for $7,390.
Just what Robert has been asking for.
I mean, this is clearly Christmas shopping is done. I'm just going to buy that and we're good to go. Okay, who knew the weird things lurking on Amazon? This is fascinating. But this is like the whole point of this podcast episode was to tell people not to do this thing. And here we are giving people weird, expensive things.
Do as I say, not as I do.
All right. Well, I think that's a pretty solid episode for everybody, other than the fact that we just undermined ourselves at the end there. Yeah. What do you think, David? Can we wrap it up?
Let's do it. I think the biggest takeaway from this episode is, particularly because it's holiday season right now, don't get wrapped up. Have a plan going in, stick to it. Don't lose sight of your long-term financial goals and lifestyle goals. December will come and go. You'll start a new year fresh. And it's a lot easier to get that momentum going at the beginning of the year if you're not another $3,000 in debt from the holiday spending.
Amen to that. I love that message. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
I'm going to jump in and say something I've never done on a podcast before. I'm going to ask for people to, I think we have recently we have asked for subscriptions. We are trying to get this growing both on YouTube and traditional podcast. And if you've listened to this long, more than 40 minutes, you've got some kind of value out of it, or at least you had it playing while you were walking away doing something else. For that, I thank you. But if this is your first time listening, please hit the thumbs up like button. If this is your second time listening, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And if it's your third time listening, thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a comment down below. I do a good job of getting in the comments. They are pretty entertaining even for me. So we really do appreciate it. We are published more than 50 episodes now, which my goal when I first started doing this was 50 and then decide if I want to keep going or not. And Carla jumped in to help me and remotivate me. For that, I'm thankful. And I'm thankful for all of you listening. If there's anything that we can do in this podcast to make it more exciting and educational for you, please let us know. Thanks.
Yeah, echo all of that. That's good stuff, David. And yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it.